Friends, how are you? Students, yesterday I explained 9 part of lesson, and in that part I was telling you when Bholi refused to marry with Visambarnath, then Ramlal was shocked, and all the guests started calling Bholi shameless girl in whispering voices. In whispering voices. Now I am going to explain 10th part of the lesson. Bisambarnath, the grocer, started to go back with his party. The confused bandsman thought this was the end of the ceremony and struck up a closing song. After that, when Boli refused to marry with Bisambarnath, then Bisambarnath, the grocer, started to go back to his village along with his friends. And the bandsmen were confused and they thought if it was the end of the ceremony, that is why they started playing a closing tune. Ramlal stood rooted to the ground, his head bowed low with the weight of grief and shame. And Ramlal stood motionless by bowing down his head in shame and sorrow. The flames of the sacred fire slowly died down, and flames of the sacred fire were slowly being extinguished. Everyone was gone. When everyone was gone, Ramlal turned to Bholi and said, "But what about you? No one will ever marry you. What shall we do with you?" When all the persons went away from there, then Ramlal turned to Bholi and asked her what would be done, what he would do with her. Because after listening those shameless words, nobody would marry with her. No, in future, nobody would marry with her. And Sulekha said in a voice that was calm and steady, "Don't you worry, Pitaji, in your old age. I will serve you and mother, and I will teach in the same school where I learned so much. Is not that right, ma'am?" After listening her father's words, Sulekha or Bholi, I already told you but in summary that Sulekha was Bholi's real name. Sulekha consoled her father in a calm and steady voice that he should not have to worry in his old age. And she further told him that she would serve him and her mother in her whole life. And in her whole life by teaching in the same school where she had studied. And she also asked her teacher who was standing there if whatever she was saying was right or not. The teacher had all along stood in the corner watching the drama. Yes, Bholi, of course, she replied. And her teacher, who stood in the corner, was watching the drama. She replied in affirmation. She replied in affirmation and said that she replied in affirmation that no doubt Bholi could teach in the school where she had studied. And in her smiling eyes was the light of a deep satisfaction that an artist feels when contemplating the completion of her masterpiece. And in her teacher's eyes, smiling eyes, her teacher's eyes were shining. Her teacher was delighted, was very happy to listen courageous words with Bholi's mouth. That her teacher became happy to see Bholi as the confident girl. That time she was satisfied. Her teacher was satisfied, so too much satisfied, so satisfied that she was satisfied like an artist. Her teacher was satisfied like an artist who became happy after the completion of his masterpiece. Bholi's teacher was satisfied. Deep satisfaction could be seen in Bholi's teacher's eyes because she got success in instilling confidence and courage in Bholi. Because when Bholi started going to school, she could not speak even. And that time she was facing many persons. That time she had courage to oppose the system. That is why Bholi's teacher was feeling happy, was delighted, and she was full of satisfaction, and deep satisfaction could be seen in her eyes. And she was considering herself as an artist. She was comparing herself with an artist who is satisfied, who feels delighted, who is overjoyed after completion of his masterpiece. For Bholi's teacher, Bholi was her masterpiece. Understood? Because she instilled confidence and courage. She got success in instilling confidence and courage in Bholi. Okay? Now students, I think you will have understood this part of the lesson, and tomorrow I will tell you the summary of the lesson proposal in first flight. Thank you and have a nice day.